Adele is our head of customer service in the company. Pretty much fulfills the role of product development for our UK pharmacy product, and she's now going to talk to you about how you can use your data to get more time, to do things more efficiently, all the stuff we were talking about earlier on, and pull some of this stuff together to help you and help your pharmacy teams.
Thanks, Glenn. Because the focus of my presentation today is primarily about time. Speaking as a person who's running out of time very quickly. Thanks, Gabby. With the feedback we get all the time from our customers, from our potential customers, from prospects that we talk to all the time, is that yes, we have the data, but we don't have time to look at it. The objective of bringing in business analytics and looking specifically at the lowest level of data and building it up is to try and create time efficiencies for your pharmacists at the bottom level, your middle line management or your regional managers, and effectively for yourselves as well. What happens in pharmacy is that you literally need to be a time traveler, because in any given day, in any given week, in any given month, as a pharmacist or as a pharmacy group owner, you're looking at the present, i.e., what's going on right now. I'm dispensing, I'm doing services, I'm doing my day-to-day operations of running a pharmacy. I'm also looking at the past. So, 2 months ago, I submitted my FP34s, or my submission sheet, and this was the amount of money I'm expecting. But as the data rolls back in from 2 months ago, I'm now analysing the past all over again. The idea then as well is that, you guys have to look forward into the future. So what am I going to be paid in 2 months' time on the basis of that? I've just closed this month's dispensing, so I have a vague idea. I've got my submission documents from my pharmacies, and that tells me that I'm possibly going to get paid this amount of items, but actually when it comes in, that's never quite the case. Whether it's, the dispensing discrepancies or owings or whatever, what goes in on your submission form generally isn't what comes out at the end of the day. So the idea of using your data from the bottom level up allows you to see more clearly what you should have. It alleviates time in the pharmacies from them having to count scripts to put in. It alleviates time at your level in order to see the data coming back. And effectively, you're getting, a coordinated reporting structure that says, you've got a level of information that's going directly to the person who needs it at that particular time. So from a point of view, as an executive or as a director of a company or an MD, you want to see how the whole group is looking. But you don't want to spend 2 days putting these reports together. At the end of every month, you get a submission sheet from every pharmacy. Somebody has to type it into a spreadsheet. Then that has to get rolled up into a report. It gets sent out to the MD or the executives. The lower level then of your regional managers, they want the executive level, but they also want to see what level of information I can see at a branch level. At the end of the day, you want to be able to take action. You want the right person to have the report in front of them to take action. This is our executive dashboard as an example. It basically rolls all of the KPIs up into one report that says, this is how my business did last month. So I'm looking at the items that got claimed. So anything EPS is, straight away you know exactly what that claim should be. And the manuals, we should be able to see what effectively manuals it should be in. We know exactly how much of those were EPS because we can tell your data tells us that. We know exactly how much nominations you've got because the NHS tells us every single week. We know what our ERD patients are. So our electronic repeat is a big area win for most people coming down the tracks. You want to make sure that the level of ERD you're doing is in conjunction with your surgeries. Your surgeries were at 11%. Our groups and our groups we think are ahead of the game are only at about 3 or 4% ERD. So there's a lot of work to do there. On this side, we're looking at services. You've got MURs, we know they're being phased out, so we won't focus on them at all. But we've got NMS. So NMS, highly underachieved. The amount of potential within NMS will subsidise the loss through the MURs and greater by thousands. So there is a huge potential across the service within the NMS just by itself. That's not even to look at the clinical services that are coming down the track. Okay, and then operationally, what did we do? What was the risk? What did we potentially lose? And what's our risk for the next month coming down the track? So that's your MD. What am I MD looking at? What is my regional manager looking at? Because when you look at that executive level, there's always actually who caused that problem or who's not achieving the numbers. Then you get your level of reporting that looks at each branch, but as a picture. So I can see across my report there where my issues are. That Liverpool there, my electronic unclaimed scripts, I've got £1,000 that's going to expire in 30 days. So I know as a regional manager or as an executive, I need to talk to that branch today. So, who's struggling with the current services? What of my branches have got problems? Who's doing the NMS? Who's doing it well? Who can talk to the other branches? It's all about the visibility of seeing and the transparency of seeing all the branches together. Right, so when we look at our data and when we look at your data, you've got a level of what we call time saving, because what we're trying to do is from each level, and it's not only about saving time in the pharmacies themselves, because you guys are very, very busy. If you have a problem, how long does it take you to find out where the problem is? So having a BI tool like ours allows you to see straight away where the impact is. So in this report, this is a report that we would send to a branch on a weekly basis. These are your script IDs that you've got a problem with. So they get the level of information that they need to take action to it. But I've already spoken to the branch because I'm the regional manager, because I got my report earlier that day that says this branch has got a problem. They've got scripts that are going to expire. That then draws their attention to their report and says, okay, this is the level of data that I've got, let me have a look at all of these. The scheduling of reporting and sending reporting out is something that we look at quite intently to make sure that the data hits the branches when it needed, the data gets to the regional managers when it needed, and if they get it as often as they need. So the likes of our regional manager report, we would send maybe twice a week. Once on a Monday that says, these are the issues for the week. And once on a Friday that says, actually, this is what they've done or not done, so you can address the issues ongoing. Weekly services, right, so we know that, okay, let's not look at MURs because, they're a fading service, but we've still got them to do for the next 2 years. This is included as part of our reporting. The big thing that you'll see from the top of this report is that to do services in your branch, you need to have contact numbers. You need to be able to contact the farmer or the patient to do any additional services, clinical services, MURs, NMS, audits. For every report that we send out, we tell you how many patients you're missing contact numbers for. This is a very helpful report for people who have trouble scheduling NMSs. We see historically that a lot of NMS expire. Right, so people engage them, they do the hard bit, they do all the paperwork, and then the intervention, the follow-up isn't done. So this is again an action report directly sent to the branch that says, these interventions need to be done, these follow-ups need to be done. Actually, this is what our trend looks like, and these are the amount of NMS that you're still missing. On a daily level, this is a report that we can send to branches. Now, what this does is it basically says, these scripts were labelled yesterday. So you printed the labels for these yesterday. They weren't dispense notified, they weren't claimed, so the likelihood is they're still in the branches. We've got here on this side, one of the big feedback that we get in relation to NMS, and especially missed NMS, is that the patient is entitled to them because they had it somewhere else before. Whereas, we have great visibility, but in fairness, we're not psychic, we can't tell that they've had it somewhere else before. But what we can do is tell you that that patient is new into your pharmacy. So if the patient has walked into your pharmacy for a regular medicine that needs an NMS, the likelihood is they possibly have had it somewhere else before. It's unlikely that they walked into you for the first time needing a regular medicine. The guys there in the green are returning patients. So as you create the prescription, as you put it in the bag, you put it on the shelf ready to go, put a note on top of it, this patient gets an NMS when they walk in the door. What we've done is we're now using the NHS payments. So we're looking at the FP34 each month as the payment comes in. So we take the e-schedule, we download it, we take the PPD, we download it, and we look at exactly what you have been paid. Okay, so we look at, okay, well, what did our system say that you should be paid? What is the number of items? And what exactly is the difference between the two? As this develops, so every pharmacy group, and even each pharmacy within the group, have got different kind of quirks, the way they claim things, the way they process things. And as we develop with each individual group, it's about eliminating the stuff that shouldn't be there so that the detail becomes more and more transparent. So what we're looking at is August over there, September, October, we've got a prediction of what the items are going to be. Based on the product file that we use, so the product file is built basically from the data within the PMR, but levered on top of that is the concessions, the drug tariff, the DMD. So layered across the PMR is hopefully 99% accurate reimbursement pricing. And that allows us to say the total of account of your drugs should be this amount. That then allows us to, okay, go, these are the number of items, this is what the IV historically was, there's your advance. We know what your total account is, and the balance between the two is the next month's balance. We also then know what the next month's prediction is going to be as well. Okay, so having all of that information allows us time to focus on these new services, right? And as part of these new services, we're developing alongside our customers the ability for identifying patients who are suitable for the service, but also doing some of the audits for you. Okay, so potentially what we've got here is these are our diabetic referrals. So people who are on diabetic medicines who have been in regularly in the last 6 months. So they're likely to be the patients that are going to cross the door between now and January. So do I need to do I need to do foot referrals for them? Can I do it over the phone before they even walk in the door? This side over here, the NSIDS audit, this is basically us doing the job for you. So it's basically saying, we've checked every single NSIDS patient, and all we're looking at is an exception. These 3 patients over here need to be referred to the doctor because they're not on the protective medicine for the GI bleeds. So that's your saving of your time. The same as these ones. These are just safety audits. And these develop, and we will develop these alongside our customers as these come down the tracks. So the next thing, I suppose, in relation after the audits, as we spoke about earlier, is the preventative care. So the preventative care for us is trying to identify potential conditions for patients. This is coming in relation to your cardiovascular trends. This one here is just an example of one that we did with our customers in Ireland in relation to identifying potential patients with diabetes. So looking at the basket of medicine that the diabetic patients were on, using our pharmacists, our superintendent pharmacists and our clinical people to tell us what are the high risks, and then just eliminating the diabetes allows us to say these patients potentially will have diabetes in the next few years. Are these the patients that we either talk nicely to the GPs, or are these the patients that we do a blood test on? This type of report are the types of reports that are capable for all of you guys to do. So, in relation to your data, right, what do you get? If you utilize your data properly, if you use a BI system, if you use a company like ours to look at your system, what you get is first of all, you get control. You get transparency. You get visibility of what's going on all the time. Your pharmacists, in terms of any risks, they get the level of data that they need to handle it. And then we help them by putting forward, these are the patients for an LMS. These are the patients for the audits. Potentially, these are the patients for preventative service. So we're trying to save you as much time as possible. In the back end, we've got insights, right? So insights is a wonderful thing, but it's only useful when it's compared to something else. So as part of our BI tool, we benchmark all of our customers against each other. We also have a system very similar to Farm Data that allows us to look at the NHS published data and monitor all of the services across the industry, all of the items, the growths across all of the groups, and we allow you to see just the same way Farm Data does, except we tell a story at local level for each individual pharmacy, and then we tell a story at high level.